push my recording, but hopefully you'll take that lesson today and about listening to your body. And so it is my job as an instructor to be a good example person for y'all. Let me get my camera right. So I'm able to walk just a little bit, being a little extra careful. Oh gosh, the internet connection is unstable. Well, internet, I'm a little unstable. So, and you know, in class I always talk about wearing my flat shoes. Well, I got on the most cushiony shoes that I possibly could wear, or that are in my closet, just to help the impact of the ground on my hips and muscles. So, you know, I'm a resilient chick, and I refuse to give up. They told me to stay home through Wednesday and rest and relax and get myself better. But I'm not a real good listener at that, because I listen to my body and I'm making modifications for movement. And so let's do it, y'all. Well, I guess I can get up and do music, put on our music. It's always good to revisit seated Tai Chi, because honestly, you just never know when it's gonna, come up on you that you can't do regular standing Tai Chi, and you have to learn how to move from a seated position. So reminding ourselves that even in a chair, we still want to have that upright posture. I still want my feet connected to the floor. I want my feet about shoulder width or hip width apart, and that just adds to the stability and then the structure of my body that supports it in a good way. So as we, usually we walk around, open, close our hands. From a seated position, you can do that the same thing. Pumping your arms, open and close your hands. Kind of walk your feet in place. You can lift your knees as high as you're comfortable. I like this move, especially for what I'm experiencing with some. See, I know y'all remember last week me saying about my hips were hurting, and I just wrote it off as perimenopause, but I think it was actually that muscle was tweaked and it was engaged whenever I would move my hips. So for me to lift my knee up really high would not be necessarily a good thing. So tapping my heels, tapping my toes, those are ways to just be careful with my hips in getting warmed up for Tai Chi. So I can barely lift up my feet off the floor. I'm just thinking about the places that may have a little stiffness or even a little bit of pain there, and not trying to work or engage too much. So the biggest lesson today is listening to our bodies and making adjustments when we need to. So some of it I'll be explaining to y'all in words, and then I'll do my best to demonstrate what we're doing. So let's start with our warm-ups. Again, I say we're in that position where our feet are connected to the floor. We have good posture. And of course, we're breathing. So we have our hands down to our side. Let's start with our neck. We're going to bring our hands up, palms down. Remember to stop at shoulder height. If you go higher, you'll start feeling tension in your shoulders. And we're a no tension zone. We bring it towards our chin and chest, push away from our bodies, and then follow those hands all the way down. Chin towards our chest. Focus on that breathing. Think about that gentle resistance as we move through air. Heavy air, or pretending, that it's water. Because when we move through water, there is that natural, gentle resistance. Now this chair has a little bit of cushion in it, and I'm even thinking that I probably should get my chair cushion to sit on, to have a little bit more padding, because I'm feeling the harshness of this chair on my hip. So I'm expressing this out loud, not to tell y'all all my woes and begons, but just the conversation that I have as I scan my body and I see how the environment is affecting, the parts that may be hurting. So take care of yourself in these kind of moments. Stay going as best as you can. You don't want everything to get stove up, right? And the more sitting you do, man, it's the worst thing for your hips. All right, now let's roll our shoulders. So, these first moves don't involve our lower body. So they're not changed from the standing position. But once we get to our hips, then there's some changes. But right now we're just rolling those shoulders, kind of massaging our back through movement. All right, let's do our shoulder circle. Keeping in mind to not put our hands in front of our faces for the fight we're not having. The opponent that's not even there, but we want to pretend we can see them. Because our Tai Chi is based in that martial art that's like fighting. All right, let's grab our ball. Let's stretch our spine. Ooh, that feels good. Take your time and exhale as you separate and really feel the stretch in your back. Popped my back as I'm separating. I felt that. It felt good. I swear I've been on the couch for 2 days. It has driven me about crazy. Rest is really hard for me, y'all. I like to get up and do things. All right, go to our ball. Now we're going to take it side to side. Now I love practicing this movement seated. It helps you understand just how small this side to side movement is. I think when we stand up, we're more likely to go further. But we know if we go too far that this butt lifts off of the chair. And you don't get that when you're standing. So that's why this right here is good to practice seated. And just like standing, our ball is out away from us so our armpits can breathe. All right, now for our hips. Now, when we do standing Tai Chi, we place our heel forward and our hands back. We pause in the middle, and then our toe goes back and our hands go forward, back like a kickstand. Well, you're not going to put your leg back when you're sitting on a chair because it increases your chance of falling off the chair. So the seated movement for this is hands back, heel forward, and then we bring our hands up, but our foot just stays at that seated position. So heel out, hands back, and then back to the beginning position with our hands up. And so I'm just switching back and forth. When we stand, I do roundabout three on each side, or one side at a time. But you could do it alternating from a standing position as well. And sometimes I get backwards on it. So here, on the seated position, because my foot isn't going back. See, I wanted to go forward and forward, when here I need to go back and forward. That's our brains kind of playing tricks on us. Now, I will say, in terms of pushing my feet into the floor or adding that resistance or weight transfer, whenever I was moving my leg out, I pushed this other leg into the floor just very, very slightly. And when you push that leg into the floor, that's your stability right there. And you can try it both ways. You can do it without pushing the leg that's not moving, not pushing it into the floor, and try it with pushing it into the floor, and feel the difference in how stable you feel in that movement. And so maybe you naturally do it and just didn't think about it. Our bodies are pretty smart in trying to stabilize us. But when you intentionally do it, it helps condition those muscles to support us. So even from a seated position, we can practice some of that weight transfer. The other hip warm-up is where we take our hands to the side and then we tap out that other foot. And you can do it that way from a seated position, or you can lay that leg out. And we can't replicate this from a standing position where we lay that knee out, but if you'll do that, you can feel this hip flexor stretching, and that feels really nice. So even if you're able to do standing Tai Chi, I invite you to sit down and just lay that knee out and stretch this hip flexor it's like your groin, I guess. But stretching that muscle feels so nice. And so to add our hands in, we take them in the opposite direction of the knee we're laying out, bring it back, and go to the other side. So I'm not really applying any pressure of my feet into the floor for weight transfer. My feet aren't leaving the floor, so I don't need that extra stability. This is one of my favorite moves for stretching my hip. It's amazing what you can do just from a chair. All right, now for our knees. So we have our loose fist, and this is where we put our toe, like we point our toe out in the air, keep it close to the floor or wherever it feels comfortable for you, and punch that opposite hand out, bring it back. And because we're lifting and taking that foot and extending it away, that's what makes having that stable leg more helpful. When we do that, helps us be more stable. So when I'm taking that toe out, this foot is pushing into the floor, and I just feel more stable in that movement. So the opposite punch, bring it back, opposite, bring it back. So the leg that's not kind of kicking out, it has a gentle push into the floor for stabilization. Because we want to think about our bodies and how we're holding ourselves. Revisit your posture throughout these movements, making sure that you're remaining upright. Now for our other knee warm up, this is where we step forward shift weight forward, shift weight back, but we're not going to do that seated because we'd fall out of our chair. So instead of that, what you do for the second one is put your heel out and punch that opposite hand. So we're pushing that foot out, thinking about our heel really pushing out into the air. Using that other leg as our stabilizer. We still want to go slow, smooth, and continuous. All right, now for our ankles. Now, when I do my ankle seated exercise, I scoot back more in my chair to where my thigh is being supported by the seat of my chair. So that when I lift that foot, I'm not having to use my quadricep muscles. You can stay up front, but I find it easier. The point of this movement is for our ankles. It's not for our thighs. So just putting that foot in the air and do heel toe in the air. Because you can't have your foot from this position and do heel toe. Like, that's really uncomfortable. But putting it in the air is like bringing your toe towards you and then pushing your toe away from you. It's called flex and extend. Anyway, heel toe in the air. As smart as I am sometimes, it's like I can't even think of the words. I was trying to, at the hospital the other day, think of the word, I can't even think of the word now. Lateral, that was the word. I could not think of the word lateral. I said vertical, which horizontal would have been right. It would have worked, but I said vertical. And my husband was laughing. I was like, I don't feel good. I can't think of words. All right, and then we're going to go big toe, little toe. See, that's kind of hard to do on the floor, but you can do it in the air. Just turning that foot side to side, or if that's uncomfortable, just do a whole circle with your foot. One way and then the other way. Because the whole point is this joint mobility in our ankle. And we can't stand up and do this, but we can sit down and do this movement. So some things we do seated aren't stand practical. There's all the pops. I don't know if y'all's joints are popping, but that ankle, it went to popping. You could do both feet out and do like windshield wipers, heel toe in the air, circles with both your feet at the same time. We can't do that standing for sure, but we can do it from a seated position. So that's how we do our warm-ups from seated. So let me get my water. That's how we do it from a seated position. Now I'm going to face you the whole time, and I'm sorry if that's, I usually turn around. So I'm not passing any judgment on your movement. So don't feel like you're being watched. But in terms of right and left, I'm going to do my best to do mirror image. It's been a long time since I've done mirror image. But if you go to the right and we're at the part where you're supposed to go on your left, don't worry about it. Just go to the opposite place the next time, okay? Because in Tai Chi, everything's balanced. What we do to the right, we do to the left. The only movement that we don't do that way is commencement, where we bring our hands up and down, we shift right, step left, out and in. And so I just, I moved my feet a little bit, like going through the motions of the movement. But for the sake of seated Tai Chi, I scoot back up to the front of my chair. Sitting back in the chair, I didn't have to use my quad so much. So now that I'm on the edge of my chair, I have my good posture. I'll rely more on pushing my feet into the floor with weight transfer, which you can't really see on camera. You don't even have to do weight transfer or pushing your feet into the floor, mimicking the weight transfer. It's what your body needs. And if you need a break from, the overuse of the muscle because you may have an injury or you may just be in pain, then just skip that part. Have your feet connected to the floor so you are in a stable position. Have it in hip width, shoulder width apart. And that is not like this. That doesn't even feel stable, even from a seated position. I feel tension right here, like my knees coming together. But when I relax them, then I don't feel that tension. All right, so we're going to start with our basic 6 movements. Our hands are to our side. So let's commence. We bring our hands up, down, shift right. Hands come in and up. Shift as our hands go out. Bring them back, open and close. Single whip. Push our hands out. Turn and separate. Again, right here, I'm following this hand. Is that the hand I would normally follow? I'll be honest, I don't know because this throws me off so bad. But what I know is that when I do single whip again in a second, I'm just going to look at the other hand, so that's balanced. Bring our hands down and let's wave hands in clouds. It's good to be challenged. Surely that's 6. Back to center for open and close. Now remember what I said, single whip. Now I'm going to look towards that hand. And I don't think I'm doing mirror image. I'm just going to the way that I normally would. So y'all do what you know. Waving hands in clouds. I'm not real practiced in seated Tai Chi, and I definitely haven't done a mirror image in a while. So I'm just all flustered today with Tai Chi. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad for us to be working together. So those are our basic 6. Let's do it again. Thinking about our posture. We're still moving slow, smooth, and continuous. Push your feet into the floor with weight transfer if that feels comfortable for you. If not, just keep your feet grounded to the floor. Here we go, and commence. No, I'm not doing commence. I'm doing a next. X. I'm starting all over with our warm-ups. Let's go. Let's do commencement. Our hands come up facing each other. Remember that wrist movement. And down. Towards our hips. Up our body. Out. Back in. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Slow, smooth, and continuous. Open, close. Single whip, following the opposite hand that you did before. Waving hands in clouds. I'm really bad at this, y'all. Which I have told y'all before, seated Tai Chi is harder than standing Tai Chi. Back to center for open and close. Close it out. Let's do it again. I'm going to get it right this time. Commence. Open, close. Single whip. No, this stays up. Waving hands and clouds. I didn't get it right. To the center, open and close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. I got it right that time. Counting to 6 is hard when you're seated. Open and close. I love for y'all to see the imperfect me. Because I hope, if anything, it just reminds you that there is no perfect Tai Chi. It is a journey. You're not going to have it perfectly right every time, all the way through with our principles. You know, as much as I do Tai Chi, many years as I've done Tai Chi, you would think, oh, she's got it all together. She never makes a mistake. But our movements are very dynamic. A lot is going on at the same time. And that's why we go through and do the movements thinking about one principle at a time. So we get good at doing one principle at a time. And then the more we do it, the more it meshes together. Some movements lend more to thinking about gentle resistance. Some lend more to the continuous or the smooth, transition. Of course, there's weight transfer in different places. We do think about that empty step when we're standing. The way we hold our arms away from our body, we keep that open joint of our armpit. The way that we don't extend our hands or our arms fully allows that joint to be open. And not every single move has that capability to think about it, but we learn them and practice them one at a time, and they kind of mesh together. Sometimes you just want to make sure you're breathing. If you're constantly catching yourself holding your breath, then that needs to be your focus as you move through the movement. So when you're focusing on one thing, sometimes other things kind of fall to the wayside, and that's okay. So I like being imperfect for y'all to remind you that let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's listen to our bodies, pay attention to our bodies, and do our best. So let's go through that again with the basic 6. Hands to our side. We breathe in and commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Back to center, open and close. Single whip. Waving hands and clouds. Open and close. close it out. So, it only took me about 5 times to get something right. All right, so the challenge of advanced movements from a seated position. When you are seated, you're not going to turn. And in our advanced movements, we turn. We go from facing the front to facing to the left, and then we do all of it to the right. But we're not going to move in our chair. So everything we do is out front. We're not going to twist and go to the side. That's not good for our spine. Everything we do is out front. It can be a little taxing on your shoulders. So just be aware of that if you are doing it seated and you practice this, because we're just going out front with our movements. It works our shoulders more than when we turn and move differently. So let's just give it a go. Remember, you're going to do it one way, and then next time we do it the other way. So don't worry if you're supposed to be going to the left with your right hand, or the left or the right with your left hand. Just do one side and then go to the other. So I'm gonna scoot back in my chair a little bit. I'm just doing everything that I can to support my hips because of the involvement with my gluteal muscles. Instead of scooching up on the chair, I'm letting the back of the chair support my back, and I'm letting the seat of the chair support my legs. And that takes some of that pressure from gravity off of my joints that are maybe hurting a little bit today. So that's what I'm talking about when I say listen to your body and modify for what your needs are. The worst thing we can do is to quit moving. We just have to move in a different way. So we're coming from open and close, and our first move is brush knee. So we're going to bring our hand out front. So I call it lay hands. One arm reaches out, the other comes over hovers over the elbow. Then we separate and bring this around and push. So that's brush knee, but seated and everything is out front. I didn't turn. So it's lay hands, separate, and then the hand that's extended comes around and pushes. Just like that. Next is play the lute. We turn our hands, we pass our hands until we get to the elbow. Parry punch. Flip, parry. Flip, parry. Make it a guard. Get to your front pocket. Deliver those flowers. Block and close. Release our hands. Come back down to our hips. Push the tiger. Push. We would be going back to the front, but we're coming to open and close, where we open and close. Now we're ready to go to the other side. We reach that other hand out, hovering over the elbow. Separate, come around and push. Play the lute, turn hands. Pass those hands to the elbow. Parry punch, flip, parry, flip, parry. Guard, get flowers, deliver. Block and close. Come to our hips. Push the tiger. Extend those arms away. Come to open and close. So did you feel some extra tension in your shoulder there, just going out front if you're doing it seated? So let's do that again. We're coming from open and close at the end of basic 6. Brush knee. Play the lute. Parry punch. Lock and close. push the tiger, open and close. So the mobility is a little bit different from that seated position. It is different whenever this chair, I'm sitting back with this chair, so the way I can move my arms is a little bit different. And so you may feel that, but you have to take care of your body. So let's do it again. If you're standing, let me see if I can add the verbiage in for the standing. A lot of the, a big key takeaway in our advanced movements is weight transfer and hand movement. You know, the other week I said that 100 times, I think. Weight transfer and hand movement. You know, if we're seated, we're not using weight transfer on our legs, but if you are standing, I want you to remember, anytime these hands move, you're shifting weight. So here we go, let's do it again. Coming from open and close. Brush knee. Separate, prepare. Shift as I push. Play the loop. Turn hands. Shift as those hands pass. Parry punch. Flip, shift and parry. Flip, shift and parry. Guard, flowers, shift as I deliver. Separate hands, come down, shift as those hands come to my hips, and shift as I push them away from me. Back to center, open, and close. So I tried to use the verbiage of what I'm not actually doing based on my memory. So let's do it again. Oh, we're coming from open and close. Brush knee. And right now I'm going to have my eyes closed. And the powerful thing we can do when we close our eyes, when we're seated, so I am safely in my chair. If I stand up, it's not a good choice to close my eyes. So I can safely stay in this chair with my eyes closed, and that doesn't always work out when you're standing. So I'm going to close my eyes, and I am going to envision my body doing the full movement of advanced movements, the advanced 6 movements. I'm going to envision my body doing that. I know what that move looks like. I just can't do it. All right, so coming from open and close, lay the hand, separate, bring it around, push, play the lute, parry punch, the tiger, open and close. Play the lute, parry, parry, and punch, block and close. Push the tiger. Back to center, open, and close. Because I was envisioning the actual movement, you may not have even seen what was going on, but I would barely pick up my feet. I would just kind of lift them up and put them back down as if I were stepping. I felt a couple of times my foot kind of pushing into the floor, just ever so slightly. It just naturally happened because I was envisioning going through that whole movement. And it's amazing what can happen in your body just visualizing the movement. You can make some progress in your mobility and movement just envisioning it. Our minds are powerful like that. So let's do advanced 6 one more time, and then we're going to put them together, okay? So whatever you need to do whether you're pushing feet into the floor or not, or just letting your legs do their thing. If you're doing it standing and you're doing it all out, great. You do you, boo. That's how it goes. All right, so we're coming from open and close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Parry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Parry punch. I'm losing my voice. Block and close. Push the tiger. To the front, open, and close. All right, any questions about any of our moves? I do want to tell y'all this. I will not have class next week. I'm taking off. It's spring break. My mom's coming to town, and Patrick plays ball, and we're going to go watch him play ball. It'll be the only time my mom will be able to go. So we'll take next week off, and hopefully in 2 weeks I'm going to be back to my standing self. Not that this isn't a good experience. I like standing Tai Chi. I don't like to be having to modify. I don't like it, but it's necessary. So I'm doing it, and I'm being a good example for y'all. So if y'all don't have any questions about or needing to review anything, then we're going to put it all together, okay? And so just a reminder of all these benefits that are from Tai Chi, helping reduce the stress and anxiety in our lives just by slowing down and breathing and just connecting with ourselves. Helps strengthen muscle because we're using muscle. We're moving against gravity. Of course, it helps with balance and coordination. The whole point that while we're in class is for falls prevention. So we're trying to utilize our muscles in a way that helps us balance and coordinate our movement. It can help relieve chronic pain. I think it comes along with the relaxation, because sometimes when we're holding something tense, especially if we are in pain, we hold it tense, then that can make the pain worse. So we learn to relax with our breath, scan our bodies and let go of any tension that can help with pain. Also, because our muscles are getting stronger, it's supporting our joints better. So if we do have joint pain, then when our muscles that support that joint are stronger, then it relieves some of that pain off of that joint. So those are just a couple ways of how Tai Chi can help relieve pain. Of course, we're helping with our flexibility, which improves our mobility, reducing tension and stiffness. Because of exercise, we're increasing our stamina, our ability to go and keep going, just that our physical fitness is improved. Because we breathe, our lungs get stronger. Because we breathe, our heart, we can condition our heart because it's a cardiovascular exercise, but through breath is calming. And so sometimes when you do Tai Chi, your heart rate goes up because you're pumping your heart through weight transfer. And so that's part of it, but overall it helps relax and hopefully give you a lower resting heart rate outside of Tai Chi. Of course, it has the gift of body awareness, the thought of our posture, because we take care of our bodies, relaxing our bodies, it can help us with improving our sleep quality. Excuse me. All right, so those are our benefits as listed by Dr. Lamb himself, and hopefully you've got to experience some of those yourself. So let's go through all of our movements, basic 6 and advanced 6. We're at 10:52, so here we go. From the top, good posture, I'm breathing. What I can't do, I can envision and begin. Commence. Open, close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Single whip. I was about to do brush knee. Waving hands in clouds. It's definitely a whole different experience from a seated position. Open and close. Brush knee. Play the loop. Parry punch. Block and close. Up. Yes, push the tiger. Open and close. Close it out. Let's close it out. Just close it out. I got myself flustered. Envisioning myself doing this got me all messed up. All right, let's do it again from the top. 10:54, then we'll cool down. Getting my focus on. And commence. Stay relaxed in those shoulders. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open and close. Single whip. Waving hands in clouds. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Parry punch. Block and close. Push the tiger. Open, close. Brush knee. Play the lute. Parry punch. Lock and close. Push the tiger to the center. Open and close. Yeah, I'm definitely stopping on that because I did that one. I did that one right. Yes, it only took me an hour to get right, didn't it? When you do something that you don't do very often, it really kind of blows your mind to do it from seated. I rely a lot on the whole movement, and I love weight transfer, but we had to modify. So let's cool down. We give ourselves a nice little fist massage. If you're comfortable lifting your knees, then lift those knees as high as you can as you give yourself that little massage. And then tense your muscles. Purposely tense and then let it go. This helps you recognize tension and what tension feels like and how much better it feels to let that tension go. Tense and relax. Tense and relax. Shoulder circle. Great movement for breath. It just is very different with those legs in the way. You know, when I'm standing, I'm able to make a whole different circle. All right, we have our fist representing our strength. Our fingers together representing our friendship. Our thumb in our humility. I've definitely been humbled today, but that's okay. I'm happy to do that. Let's put it together, and in mutual respect, we say Namaste.
Namaste.
So thank y'all for going along with me today and doing it in a different way. I don't like to cancel class, and I knew that next week I wasn't going to have class, so I came into work today so I didn't have to cancel and knew that I could do this in a modified way. So y'all have a great week, a great 2 weeks. If you need me, let me know, and I will be here and able to do whatever you need. Can y'all think of anything before we go today? What any need you may have?
Is it about time for us to tell our t-shirt color?
I can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Because today is week 13, and Miss Iris, I think you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think it's 11 out of 16.
Today is 11.
Okay, today is your 11th class. What size and color shirt you want?
Large.
Large? Color? What color do you have?
A blue and a pink.
But all right, the other
Blue
color.
and a pink.
The other color is gray.
Okay. And
You
a
want
large.
large gray? Okay. Anybody else want to tell me size and color?
Yes, I want mine.
What size and color?
Oh, you still have the 3X?
What color?
Gray.
3X gray. I don't know, but I'm gonna write it down. We're gonna pretend we do at this point in our lives. If it was easy for me to just run in there right quick and get it or go check, I would. But I'll check and get it if we have it available. Mr. Ed, size and color.
I'm not sure. I 2X, and I like one of the maroon ones.
What color do you already have? You want one of this color?
Green one and a gray one.
Okay, you want this color?
Yeah.
Okay. 2X, you said?
Yep.
All right.
That's right.
All right. And then Miss Sharita, you're on a whole different level of earning your shirts. if Mr. Ed, you'll be here next, where you earn the sweatshirt. I had a conversation with Miss Gwen on Friday about what may be next. So right now we have it where there's 3 different colors of t-shirts. This is all new to me, right? Of having people that are just continually in the class. And so, we have the 3 colors of t-shirts, we have 2 sweatshirts, and I'm like, do people want more shirts? So if you think of like an item that you could have with the Tai Chi's, stuff on it, what would you want outside of shirts? Like, would you want a water bottle? Would you want some kind of bag, that had the Tai Chi on it? Because we can put our information on lots of different things. But if you like the t-shirts, we can go and get a 4th color of a t-shirt, and, skip the whole sweatshirt. Once you earn a couple sweatshirts, then it's like, what, how many do we actually need? So you don't have to tell me now unless you're thinking something.
Maybe a cap.
A hat? Okay.
Certain kind of cap.
Like a baseball hat?
So, yes.
Okay.
The deep fitting one kind of cover like they're wearing now.
Yeah. The person that I use, he can do anything. I swear he can do anything. So I like that idea. I like those bucket hats that people wear. I think they're super cute.
They are.
And
They are.
did I show y'all on my birthday that somebody got, I know Sharita knows it because I sent her the picture. I got a baked bean hat, a bucket hat with baked beans on it. But I think those hats are cute. So
Let us see it next time then.
I'll bring it at home. It's reversible, so it's baked beans on one side and then plain on the inside or other side. So if y'all think of something else that y'all might like to have, I'm open to suggestions. I don't want to, burden you with more and more and more and more clothes and t-shirts and all. If you're like, yeah, I like it. And what brought it up is a man had earned his shirt, and this was his first shirt to earn. And he said, I don't really want a shirt. He said, I just like taking the class. I don't really want a shirt. So that's fine too. It just made me think, okay, well, maybe not everybody wants a shirt. So, but anyway, y'all be in touch with me about that, okay? If you think of something.
We do.
All right. Well, I love y'all. Thank you again. I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.